Well, good evening, everybody.
There, so happy to be here.
We're doing our last minute sound checks here, Steve. Making sure everybody
testing.
Right.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Well,
good.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes. I'm happy to be here representing the L and the LGBT here
That's
tonight.
right. Yeah. Sometimes we have a lot of L's at the table tonight. You hold the letter up.
Yeah, I will do the best I can.
And we're talking about the National Task Force Dinner, October. What's the date?
23rd.
Yeah. I don't think I've missed one in I don't know how many years.
Well, and they're going to celebrate. Well, we're going to talk about it. Here we go. Great news. Welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 8 p.m. Monday, August 23rd, 2021, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are part of the Happening Out television network, HotSpots magazine, and WMEG events. HotSpots is celebrating 35 years of the LGBTQ plus experience. Merged, we bring you the best of the LGBTQ plus news, entertainment, and support of our LGBTQ plus community.
Well, this evening we bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet. I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. Let's first welcome Joseph Tojar. For many years, Joe has been a local medical provider working closely with HIV, PrEP, and transgender management. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks, Al. Let's welcome anchor Jeff Oliverio. He is a founding member and treasurer of the Hollywood LGBTQ Plus Council, a unique community civic organization designed to unite the LGBTQ plus community in Greater Hollywood. He is also a private financial advisor and the current co-chair for the National LGBTQ Plus Task Force 25th Anniversary Gala. Good evening, Jeff.
Happy to be here. And also, let's welcome Cindy Brown. She's an icon in the LGBTQ plus community, early organizer of Miami AIDS Walk, the White Party for Care Resource, and other major events. She has served as executive director of Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber Foundation and LGBTQ Visitor Center. She is founding executive director of Miami Beach Pride and currently serves as program manager for Jewish Community Services, LGBTQ Lambda Living program for LGBT seniors. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you. So happy to be here with all you guys this evening. Now, let's welcome Michael Bath. In addition to being one of my favorite people, Michael is the events director for the National LGBTQ Task Force, producing the organization's two largest fundraisers, Winter Party Festival and the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala, both held in South Florida. While very different in nature, these two events raise vital funds for the LGBTQ community while also providing spaces for people to express themselves and celebrate. The task force, which will celebrate its 50th year in 2023, is building a future where everyone can be free to be their entire selves in every aspect of their lives. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Cindy. I am so happy to be here just 2 months away from the 25th edition of the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Monday, August 23rd.
Let's begin by queering up breaking news. Queer News Tonight is literally the Daily Planet, and we report that Superman is gay. In a recent YouTube post by former DC Comics artist Ethan Van Sciver, the anti-diversity Comicsgate leader makes the claim that Superman will soon be gay. He claims that the original Superman, Clark Kent, will soon be killed off. His son, Jonathan Kent, will be taking up the mantle of the Man of Steel. Van Sciver said Clark Kent's son will come out as gay in Tom Taylor's series Superman, Son of Kal-El, which launched in July. Time will tell if this is actually the plan by DC Comics or just another attempt by Comicsgate to build up outrage against social issues being discussed in comics.
I just love all these gay superheroes. It's fantastic.
I mean,
There's lesbian ones too.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, Men in Tights. Did we ever think Superman wasn't
Right.
gay? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I think it's good. Let's poke the bear with this Comicsgate guy.
You know, I grew up with comics and there were no gay characters then. And so I think it's great if it's true. And I think, why not, right?
Why not?
But I don't want him
That's
to
our
kill
gay
off
mantra,
Superman.
isn't it?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, right. We think everybody's gay.
Superman's
right?
son has daddy issues.
Speaking of everything being gay, let's queer up gay culture. OnlyFans shocks world by banning adult content in October. On Thursday, news broke that OnlyFans will be banning all sexually explicit material starting in October 1st. OnlyFans confirmed the news shortly thereafter, stipulating that the platform, which made billions largely due to sex workers who utilize the service to sell sexually explicit content, will be releasing details shortly for a while. For a while, speculation rose amongst creators that the site would not be instituting the ban, and dubious screenshots began to circulate, adding credence to the idea. But on Friday, OnlyFans emailed all of its content creators with the details of the company's new world order. In the email, OnlyFans states, quote, "Dear OnlyFans creator, this email is to notify you of the changes to our acceptable use policy that will go live effective October 1st, 2021. The new policy will prohibit the posting of any new content containing sexually explicit conduct. Content containing nudity will continue to be allowed as long as it is consistent with the policy. Existing content that does not meet the standards of the new policy will need to be removed before December 1st, 2021.
Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. That sex workers built their company, and now because they can't get investors, they're cutting them loose.
Well, we've given over the control of content to the credit card processors, and we have liked this when it was against gun manufacturers,
Exactly,
and we've been in favor of it. And now we have to look and see that we are now handing it over to what is acceptable content. So it's a very tricky problem. So
I'd never heard of OnlyFans until this came. Actually, when they said, "Oh,
Clutch my
OnlyFans
pearls.
is
Oh my.
right, OnlyFans
You're
is
a
getting
Just
rid
for
of
Fans girl.
sexually explicit," I'm like, sport. I mean, OnlyFans. I'm thinking sports. I'm like, what do they have? Like naked athletes or something?
I literally have
Sure, you can find that.
you can find anything.
Yeah, I'm
I have 500 content provider friends on OnlyFans.
you're big in the content
Wow.
provider world.
Yes, it's content
okay.
provider to you, sir. Content provider.
On the bright side, Jeff, you'll have a lot of free
Speaking
time.
Yes.
Speaking of big business, let's queer up business. Gay bars are leading the way in requiring vaccine proof in the United States. Queer News Tonight recently reported that 92% of LGBTQ+ adults have been vaccinated, and now we're seeing why. San Francisco recently announced that from August 20th, anyone wishing to enter bars and restaurants will have to show proof of full vaccination. It became the first U.S. city to demand proof of full vaccination. The move follows a similar move in New Orleans and New York City. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's Key to New York City plan took effect at the start of the week. It requires proof of at least partial vaccination at indoor dining, entertainment, and fitness facilities across the 5 boroughs. Here, in the gayest place on planet Earth, event promoter Hilton Woolman has also announced that all Urge events, including the world-famous Circuit Miami parties on Thanksgiving weekend, will require proof of vaccination to attend.
I want to ask first, right off the bat, why do you think the LGBTQ community is vaccinated in such higher percentage, 92%?
I think it's because the gay community has suffered so much loss with HIV and AIDS, and it's I think they're more aware of how serious illness can be.
And our community, by and large, trusts science. We
Right.
are not listening to all the people on Facebook who are spreading rumors. We are looking for the truth.
So the obvious connection in this story nationally, we're telling this story nationally, focusing on New Orleans, San Francisco, New York. That's not South Florida, and that's not Florida.
Right, exactly.
There's going to be no vaccination mandates. There's going to be no mask mandates. There's no. Our governor is going to see there's going to be nothing to that. Does it make any difference, do you think, to the LGBTQ community that our bars and our institutions here in Florida, especially here in South Florida, will not have vaccine mandates because it won't matter? Overwhelmingly, they're vaccinated. Do you think it'll make any difference?
I support having vaccination requirements because I want to know who I'm walking into a room with. And I bet you we're going to see some mayors of cities who are going to challenge the state on this, just like school boards have challenged the mask mandate.
And I think we have some, exciting news to announce as our task force gala is upcoming, is that we are going full vaccination requirement to attend the gala. And as a private event, we think that's a wise decision to promote safety and health and science. And we think that our attendees will be more inclined to attend for that reason.
I
Joe,
appreciate that.
you're in the medical profession. What are your thoughts about vaccine mandates, especially as it relates to LGBTQ?
I think that it makes a lot of sense. I think that it's reasonable to do. It's, of course, it's very easy to forge one of those cards, which is my major concern. But, I think it's important to feel some sense of safety in where you're going. So I do think that having mask mandate or vaccine mandate would be a reasonable option in these cases.
Well, now that Pfizer's been FDA approved, they can mandate vaccines for schools and such. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Now let's queer up the USA. New study shows Gen Z has as many as 4 times more identifying as LGBTQ as thought before. As we look to the future, diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI discussions are finding their way into our politics, offices, schools, homes, and communities. Inclusive rights and respect for diversity and inclusion are what protect and make visibility possible and a progressive world more feasible. In fact, a recent study on the amount of young people who do not identify as straight or heterosexual might actually be an indicator of the impending change of the progress and progression of DEI efforts. The global study was conducted in 27 countries and found that 4% of those in Generation Z, people born between 1997 and 2012, identify as transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming, or gender fluid. Conducted by Ipsos, a research organization, the survey captured the opinions of a relatively urban group of individuals with internet access.
Well, can I say right off the bat before your comment, Jeff, the thunderous noise, I don't know if y'all heard it, but there was a thunderous noise. That was from New York City as Tucker Carlson fell and hit the ground on this news.
I hope he didn't hurt himself.
Yeah,
I hope he did.
Yes, of course.
Well, I think you see, and here at SunServe, they host the youth group, and when you go to if you've seen any of those meetings, and being part of PFLAG, I've sat in on some of those meetings before. The younger generation and their ability to express gender, to express their sexuality is in such a different way than most of us here at this table today would ever have done at the ages between 13 and 18. And I think that is, as we just stated in the story, because of the acceptance of the DEI movement.
I'm curious from your observation there, why is that a good thing?
Well, I think what you're seeing is that they have safe spaces to do that, first of all, which would never have happened when we were growing up in high school.
No, not at all.
And we have to remind everybody, when Jeff was growing up in high school, they were powering the illumination by whale oil, I believe.
Well, one of the things I've noticed, when I was growing up, clearly, I was a tomboy, if you didn't already guess
No.
that.
I'm stunned.
And
I'm
you know,
shocked,
it was
beyond shocked.
it was so difficult for me to find clothes. You know, because everything was girly, and you know, my mom's not going to buy me boys' clothes, but it was really difficult. And I'm so happy to see there's all these clothing companies that cater to gender nonconforming and gender fluid young people and adults, for that matter. Now.
I'm also curious, Michael, from the National Task Force perspective, one of America's greatest LGBTQ advocacy organizations. Do you see on the horizon this growth of representation is going to have dramatic effects on LGBTQ rights in the future? Are you forecasting
certainly hope
it?
so. I certainly hope so. I mean, I think one of the things I wanted to mention is I think it's a huge. We cannot understate the difference that was made by the media, right? You used to have 3 channels, now you see all these channels, all this information, positive portrayals coming your way. And I think that this is one of the reasons that the Equality Act is getting some traction right now, is because of information like this.
Excellent.
Interesting.
Yeah, good to know.
All right.
All right, well, let's queer up the world news. I'm sorry, queer up the world. Massive LGBTQ plus march takes place in Poland to stand up to LGBTQ plus free zones. Parades for LGBT rights took place under heavy police presence on Saturday at the foot of Catholic Poland's most revered monastery in Częstochowa in the south and in Gdansk on the Baltic coast. The massive police presence, which included officers on horseback, was seen as the factor that prevented any clashes with far-right groups, which shouted anti-LGBT slogans like "No homosexual love" at the marchers in Częstochowa. There have been previous cases of violence by far-right groups against equality parades in Poland, especially in Częstochowa, at the foot of Poland's 15th century Jasna Gora monastery. The far-right groups have support from Poland's right-wing national government, which stresses that the nation's historic attachment to traditional Catholic values. Częstochowa's third equality parade was undisturbed Saturday, even though far-right activists came from other cities to show their opposition to it.
I love this. I mean, all over the world, places that are seen as oppressive for LGBTQ folks are having these parades. And even though there's so much opposition and so much hatred thrown at them, they still do it.
I got my start volunteering in Pride, and there used to be just a group of people outside St. Patrick's in New York, and they would diminish year by year, less and less people.
Yeah.
I used to like to drive them crazy by blowing them kisses.
Well, I think even in the United States, you know, we're seeing pride parades pop up, and it kind of reminds
In
us
more
we're in South
urban
Florida
or
where we
rural.
kind of take it for granted that
Right.
pride is a big party. When you see these pride parades, I know that it's like Sarasota has a pride parade now, which is again a place that's you would not have thought it to be as welcoming. And I was there recently, and they have a pride square that they painted in Sarasota. So I think we need to support these less popular maybe pride events, because even in our own country there's a lot of places that we're not welcome.
Right, true.
I mean, LGBTQ is everywhere, and so we should
is.
really support for even our persons who are living out in rural areas like
Totally.
that. It really does need more support, and I fully agree on that.
We have to constantly remind ourselves not to broadly stereotype any current situation, because there's always exceptions to the rules. I'm from Sarasota, and when I was involved in Pride for years, my company was involved in Pride for years, to have a parade in Sarasota was impossible.
Yeah.
It was a small celebratory event, but it was a very conservative community. Now there's a Pride parade, and Sarasota County School Board became the first Donald Trump county from the 2020 election to mandate masks in the
Progress.
schools.
Wow.
Progress.
It's a situation where we shouldn't always assume we are all this or we are all that.
Yes.
When you can use science and information and it be delivered and we can educate, change can happen.
Right.
That's what I see from all of this. Well, that is our queer headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ plus news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment that we call Quarantine Quickies.
Queer News Tonight has reported on coronavirus on every news broadcast since January 6, 2020. Tonight we report that as of today, more than 2,698,000 LGBTQ plus Americans have contracted COVID-19.
Queer News Tonight remembers the more than 44,000 LGBTQ plus Americans that have died from coronavirus.
The news is improving because as of today, more than 362 million vaccination doses have been administered in the U.S.
That is our pandemic news for tonight. Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine in support of that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ+ religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
I'm John Buckley from Unity Coalition and Celebrate Orgullo, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Finally, we thank Queer News Tonight's sponsor, Best Western I-95 Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our hosts and guests stay at this LGBTQ+ ally partner. We encourage you to stay here when visiting South Florida.
Well, we finished tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus Flash News. In LGBTQ plus Flash News, HotSpots magazine and Scott Holland's release of What's Hot This Week in LGBTQ plus. Every week, our partners at HotSpots magazine bring you all the best events in South Florida with the section called Scott Holland's What's Hot This Week. This Friday and Saturday, Hamburger Mary's Wilton Manors continues its grand opening celebrations with RuPaul's Drag Race Superstar Detox. Joe tried to not hyperventilate. Watch this.
It is Detox, and I am so excited to be coming back to Wilton Manors.
We didn't do that intentionally. We're the production will be working on it. And Joe, is that a tear on your cheek?
I love Detox.
I know. Well, on Saturday next, Noche Latina at the Manor is going to celebrate the 50th birthday of the iconic South Florida performer Champagne Bordeaux. On Sunday, the Wilton Manors Car Show is going to take place from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Wilton Manors City Hall. For complete information on these and all of the hot events in South Florida, make sure you pick up a copy of HotSpots magazine, and it's on stands now.
LGBTQ plus Flash News.
There was a lot of
West. What? West Hollywood's iconic gay bar, the Abbey, sues patron for drugging claim. The West Hollywood gay bar, the Abbey, filed a lawsuit against a comedy writer following her claims on social media that she was drugged by a bartender there. The bar alleges that writer and actress Haley White was lying when she posted she was drugged, and that a security camera footage confirms she was not telling the truth. The lawsuit was filed Tuesday in Los Angeles Superior Court against White, according to Spectrum News. The Abbey is suing White for defamation, trade libel, breach of contract, and breach of the covenant of good faith and fair dealing. It's seeking over $5 million in damages.
Well, she can get a lot of drugs with $5 million.
Oh my God.
Just saying.
I think you left me speechless on that.
Yeah, why do people do stupid stuff like that? I don't think she has $5 million to pay.
You know, one interesting thing from the story is, and I've seen this many times where accusations are made toward LGBTQ businesses, and if proven correct that she was making this up, she's in a world of trouble.
Career over. LGBTQ plus Flash News. All-star RuView of episode 10, RuDemption, lip sync Smackdown. Warning, this story contains spoilers, so hide your ears. Episode 10 of RuPaul's All-Stars Season 6 finally revealed the game within a game. All season, eliminated queens have been competing in lip-sync battles with each other. Each newly eliminated queen faces the current lip-sync assassin of other eliminated queens in an effort to return to the show. Silky Nutmeg Ganache has battled her way against every eliminated queen since her own elimination in episode 3, and finally faced off against Eureka O'Hara. Next week, we'll find out who won and who returns.
I'm just waiting for next season because I'm sure there's going to be a contestant named Delta Variant.
Delta Variant.
I love those names. Silky Nutmeg Ganache.
But she like brought like an entire wet bar with her to one of these lip syncs. Like, deserved, amazing, stunning,
Munch, munch,
like,
crunch,
remarkable
crunch.
work.
No, I'm
a
very,
silky girl.
I'm very excited, not so much about the All-Star 6, but that by 2022, there's going to be a RuPaul's Drag Race show in 1 out of every 2 countries in the world.
Amazing.
Wow.
LGBTQ plus flash news. A new study finds a surprising number of gay people have faked orgasm. Why did I get this? 2/3 of people who identify as gay or lesbian admit to having faked an orgasm during sex, according to a new survey. Online sex toy retailer Love Honey surveyed about 2,000 Americans about their ability to detect fake orgasms, as well as probing them on their own experiences with faking it when the clothes come off. 2/3, that's 67% of gay and lesbian people admitted they had faked an orgasm during sexual intercourse. But while most said they would tell their partner that they had faked it, 1 in 3, that would be 30%, said they would never reveal that all that moaning was just good acting.
I mean, is it shocking that people that fill out sex surveys online have faked orgasms? Just curious.
Well, in a side story, 100% of the people who've had sex with Jeff have faked their orgasm.
God.
Well,
Wow, shade.
you know,
The shade of the show.
I guess if you gotta fake it, you gotta fake
Take it till
it.
you make it.
All right, we're going to move on to the Vatican next.
Oh.
Yes, LGBTQ flash news, Vatican fears more Catholic priests will be outed using Grindr data. Last month, right-wing Catholic outlet The Pillar outed a leader in the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, a Catholic organization made up of members of the church's hierarchy that opposes LGBTQ equality. The report claimed it relied on data obtained from the leader's use of the LGBTQ dating app Grindr to out him. Since then, the outlet has published even more reports. While they haven't outed anyone else specific yet, in 2 reports they allege that they have once again obtained data from online dating apps that would implicate high-ranking Catholic officials are gay or having sex. The reports could out further Catholic leaders here in the United States, but also from the highest ranks of the global Catholic Church, including at the Vatican.
Well, you know, I'm sure that there are a lot of gay priests, and I think they should just allow them to be priests if it's their. Now, the child molesting priest is another story.
Yeah, I was saying, we think I covered this story when we featured it on the news, and I don't think we need to use Grindr. We could probably just use court records.
Yeah.
My question is, like, what do they do if they end up with like a case of gonorrhea? It's just an immaculate infection.
That's a good one. Well, listen, I think outing, unless someone's doing harm, right, then it's up to your own choice.
True.
I'm going to Italy with Sunshine Cathedral next April. Over 60 people are going. We reported, Jeff is talking about the study that we talked about that estimates 70% of all priests are gay.
Wow.
That they're gay. So when I go to Italy,
Get out your Grindr.
Yeah, there you go.
all right,
Loosen up your collar.
And that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television news in the world that is out of the closet into the headlines. We need your support.
If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of the Happening Out television network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Joseph Tojar, Jeffrey Oliverio, Cindy Brown, and Michael Bath. We will see you daily at 8 p.m.
Good night.
Night.
Good night. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ